Serios Group Newcastle Eagles live in the ENBL.
Brought to you by
Serios Group.
Simpson Group. And Matchday Media.
Is watching basketball at 3 in the morning enough? No, of course not. So you always wanted to be part of the team. Your own basketball club. In your own backyard. What if I said you could? ENBL. 9 European countries, 15 pro teams, 60 games a season. The fastest growing basketball league in Europe. In the arena, on TV, or streaming live on your phone. Reach out to us and join the ENBL family. ENBL, right here in your backyard. Is watching basketball.
Okay, good evening all and welcome along to the second leg of this European North Basketball League playoff clash between Bakken Bears and the Serios Group Newcastle Eagles. We're at the Sparkassen Denmark Basketball Centre in Denmark's second largest city of Aarhus. And it's the hosts who have the advantage from the first leg, having come away from Newcastle with a 92-87 victory. We're a few hours away from knowing who the first team to make the Final Four will be. And the big question will it be the most successful side in British basketball history in the Eagles, or will it be the 21-time Danish champions? Alongside me for this heavyweight battle between two serial winners is a man who knows a little bit about winning with the Newcastle Eagles, Drew Lasker. Drew, a 5-point deficit for the Eagles to overcome. Obviously extremely tough opposition, but it would mean history if they got through tonight. How do you rate their chances?
You got to like their chances. I mean, 3 minutes to go left in the first leg, down 11 points. I was concerned, but 5 points. We're no stranger to that. 2014, we were down 11 points to the Leicester Riders. Was able to overcome that in the first round of the playoffs. And so 5 points, you got to look at it. 2 possessions. The way Newcastle Eagles can score, I don't see it being an issue.
Yeah, you mentioned those 2 possessions. Mark Stoutel very keen to reiterate that. From his point of view, it's literally just 2 shots. The 2 sets of rosters just coming up on your screen there. Name to watch out for Bakken Bears, number 12, Skylar Bolin. He was the man that Mark Stoutel pointed out and really said he made the difference down the stretch in that first leg. Drew, how do the Eagles contain him tonight?
You just have to be disciplined. I mean, out of their 3 guards, he's the most experienced. He's played all across Europe. He's the most poised. He's smart. So you're not going to rattle him. You're not going to force him to make mistakes. And so I think discipline is the key word that Mark Stoutel will be preaching to those 3 Newcastle guards here this evening.
Yeah, 15 of Bolin's 18 points in that first leg came in the second half. And it was a game in Newcastle that really the Eagles, they were never out of it, but they were never in control. You know, that deficit was always hovering around the 3-6 mark. So tonight for the Eagles, you know, if they get out early and all of a sudden that deficit is cut, and then really it's just a 50-50 who can stay the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think the Newcastle Eagles walked away from this game. When they watched it back, they'll be kicking themselves because this was a great opportunity. They went to the free throw line 29 times. They missed 12 free throws, and they just was out of sync. They come back from the international break, and I really think that hurt their rhythm. They were out of sorts. But, you know, if I'm Mark Stoutel, I would have been in the film room showing the team the last 3 minutes of this game, because before then their approach, I kind of felt like it was a pickup ball game the way they played it. But those last 3 minutes, they were intense, they were energetic, they were fierce. And if they start out the way that they finished that game, I think they have an opportunity to make history here tonight.
It would, of course, be an absolute moment of history, as you rightly point out, for the Eagles. a Final Four in the ENBL. We're yet to find out the venue for that Final Four. Will take place on April 9th or 10th. For a club that has so much domestic heritage and history, it's about time that there was some European history to go along with it.
This has been a long time coming, and as we mentioned before, there's a lot of guys that would love to be in this position, but there's one lone wolf that still remains in Darius Defoe, and I've spoken to him many times, and he understands that he's representing the guys that's come before, that he's played with in his 20-year career, and so he would do nothing more than to push the Eagles to the Final Four.
Yeah, there he is in the middle of your screen, the Eagles captain, Darius Defoe, most experienced player on the team. Just going around, shaking hands with everyone. Quickly run through the starters for you. The Eagles line up with McGill, Whitfield, Johnson, Defoe and Taj Green taking the court. For Bakken Bears, it will be Pinkney, Parsons, Evans, Bolin and Knudsen. And we are just about ready for tip-off here in Denmark. And the second leg of this effective quarter-final is underway, and it will be the Eagles who get the ball first. Whitfield hands that off to Johnson. Now McGill. Taj Green from the arc, thought about the three, instead drives and tips it in at the second time of asking, and we said it was a two-shot game. Well, there's one of them already for the Eagles. Deficit down to 3 immediately.
And I love that by Taj, taking letting go a good shot for a great shot. In game one, the Eagles, 16 of their shots in the fourth quarter were from beyond the arc. I thought they settled. And so being more aggressive, getting inside the paint is going to be key here tonight.
McGill from beyond the arc is no good. That would have seen us tied up immediately. Here come Bakken now. Evans backing down Whitfield. Kicks it to the outside. 3 is no good.
And that's something that you can live with Parsons. He's not a great three-point shooter, 20% on the year, and he loves to get to the basket, and so short closeouts will be key with him tonight.
Jordan Johnson gets rejected on that occasion. Double-teamed under the basket. It's nice ball movement from the hosts. 3 from the corners, no good though. Bakken just struggling to find their shooting rhythm early.
And Knudsen's a guy you don't want to leave open.
Another 3 ball from Bakken, and again off target. The Eagles will be happy to see the hosts just settling from beyond the arc so far and not allowing any easy routes into the lane and into the basket. As McGill drives, foul's called.
And that's a great aggressive drive by the MVP of the ENBL, Ricky McGill, as he kind of turns on the brakes and sees the mismatch there with Evans. And something that I noticed on film in game one was Knudsen guarding the MVP, Ricky McGill. And in game one, I felt like he really settled. And that's a matchup that there's no way that Knudsen can stay in front of Ricky. So Ricky has to be thinking mentally, getting down in the gaps, getting into the paint where he can go to the free throw line, get his confidence, which will open up the outside game here tonight.
Yeah, 17 points for McGill in the first game. Adds 2 immediately tonight. So the Eagles out to a 4-0 advantage early. It's really the perfect start. This is exactly what Mark Stuter would have wanted.
Absolutely, and you see there in the crowd the Eagles crew that made the trip. You got Chief Executive Officer Sam Blake and Managing Director Paul Blake, along with the UTA crew and many who's made the trip to Denmark there to cheer on the lads.
That's a phenomenal block to deny the Eagles on this occasion. Now Bakken come the other way. Nice little shimmy in the delayed shot, no good. Another foul called, and a chance for the Eagles to not just cut the deficit but go into the advantage and the tie here.
And I love the approach from the Newcastle Eagles tonight, getting downhill, attacking this back-end defense. You see Jordan Johnson, the beautiful block by Parsons, but they get a stop, get out in transition, where this is what Jordan Johnson does his best, drawing contact. He drew 10 fouls last game, went to the free throw line 14 times in game 1, and he's there for 2 already, 3 minutes into this affair.
So Johnson effectively ties us all up. And he has a chance here to put the Eagles ahead in the tie. No good on this occasion, just 1 for 2 from the charity stripe. Away come Bakken, and they really need to find something here. The host started really cold. That's nice ball movement on this occasion, and Pinkney lays that one in, and Bakken are on the board.
And that's exactly what the home team needs there. Boland, you mentioned it, a great game there in game 1. Calm and collective. He hits the leading score there on the slip, and he gets an easy basket.
No good from McGill on the layup. That's kicked outside to Parsons. Thought about the 3, hands it off to Boland instead. Now gets it back. He will shoot the 3 this time. No good. That's too easy, though, for Bakken. Nobody stopping Parsons as he drove to the basket. Easy layoff and an easy layup for 2 more points to the hosts.
And that's the last thing you want to give a slashing guard. You see Parsons started the game there 0 for 2 from beyond the arc, is a non-shooter, but how do you get going? By getting easy looks, as the Newcastle Eagles just gave up there. And that's something we got to look out for in game 1. A lot of Olay defense there to the basket as we see Boland get in the paint, get great lift on that shot there.
Boland scores there, and all of a sudden Bakken 3 of their last 3 from 2-point range, and this is what they can do when they heat up. The whole team just heats up. They are a very danger to the Eagles, as Darius Defoe trying to use his strength. That's good work from Taj Green to steal it back, and Green adds 2 for the Eagles.
And Taj Green has been doing that all this European campaign, doing the dirty work, staying on the glass, hustling, and we saw that transition. He was trying to find himself earlier in the year, come from the Manchester Giants where he was the leading scorer, and was out of sorts at the beginning of the year, but he's found a role for himself and been so important to this Eagles team this year.
Yeah, Green takes a bit of rest on the bench as Will Neighbour comes in. It is an area that this year we've probably seen the British teams, Newcastle and Bristol in the ENBL, outperform some of their European counterparts in second chance points and especially turnovers and steals. 3 from beyond the arc, still no good for Bakken. They're really struggling from range so far.
Yeah, but they're at home, and so, you know, that won't happen all night long. Eagles got to take advantage of that as Jordan Johnson slices and dices to the rim, and where he gets up and gets back to the free throw line again. A great start, because in game 1 was probably one of the worst performances I've seen by Jordan Johnson, even though he scored 19 points. Great drive there.
Yeah, great drive. Lovely spin move as well. Draws the foul. Still manages to make the finish. %82 from free throw line this season for Johnson, and he adds that one in with ease. I see Larry Austin Jr. for the first time tonight.
And Alex, you mentioned about the 5-point deficit. It was 11 points with 2 minutes to go, but Jordan Johnson scoring the final 9 points for the Newcastle Eagles, and doing it by being aggressive, all in the paint in the free throw line, where that's where he scored his points so far here.
A really wayward ball there from Knudsen. Anders Sommer is protesting that there was a tip on the ball. Will be Eagles' ball. Still having words with the official is the Bakken head coach, but the Eagles are back underway here. Ricky McGill. He said the European North Basketball League MVP for the regular season, and McGill with the 3. Nails it.
Wow. Ricky McGill drawing the mismatch there.
Bakken go up the other end through Evans, and they're going to have a chance for their own three-point play.
That's a great strong move there by Evans. Getting into the body of Darius Defoe, which is able to create the space, and Darius going with the signature swipe, which 95% of the time it's all ball, but that time the foul is called. And this is another veteran on the Bakken squad who, you know, been around the block, the G League, European basketball, and also played at Wisconsin. And for those that follow the British Basketball League, Sam Decker, Jordan Taylor of the London Lions come from the same university. So he's been around the block, played some big-time basketball.
Yeah, he was the 2023 Basket League and Finals MVP as well. He's won plenty of titles with Bakken already, 5 league titles. Looking to add a European title this year to his collection. Whitfield kicks it out, Neighbour wide open. Off the rim and out, will be Eagles ball.
And that's a great job by Larry Austin there on the weak side, keeping the ball alive, battling on the offensive glass like he normally does. And boy, has he found himself after, again, another Eagle struggling to fit in earlier in the year, and has really found an identity for this Newcastle Eagles ball club.
Another 3 from Neighbour. No good once more. Quick drive from Bakken, and it's a lovely lay-in from Ryan Evans. Eagles quickly up the other end through Austin. 2 former Cheshire Phoenix players combine. Austin gets it back off Neighbour. Called for a travel there as he was looking to spin back under the basket.
And that was great defense there by Duff. Again, Newcastle able to draw the mismatch with the big fella who I got an opportunity to play against in 2015 when Bakken visited Sports Central. And that time, staying down, knowing the scouting report, and draws a turnover.
There is Jeff with the 3. That's off target. Austin Jr. on the rebound. McGill with a quick 3. No good. Good work on the boards, though, from Ward Hibbert. McGill just slightly losing control of that one. Here come Bakken in transition. Jeff fakes the pass, takes the shot himself, and gets 2 points. The veteran showing all his class there.
Yeah, and that's more of his game right there in the paint. They're from the perimeter on the previous possession. Newcastle will live with that.
Into Will Neighbour. Gets away from his man. Floater's no good, though. Eagles in the lead by 1 here on the evening. 3 from Bakken, and finally they found their range from deep. Noah Churchill gets them on the board from beyond the arc, and something for the hometown fans to cheer.
And this is someone you must close out. That is a poor closeout there by Josh Ward Hibbert. Noah Churchill, 53% from beyond the arc, and that is a guy you have to run off the line. Timeout here.
Timeout and a chance for Mark Stutzel to talk things over with his men. It was a fast start from the Eagles. Took Bakken a while to heat up, but now we're just starting to see how dangerous they can be. And already we're seeing a range in scorers from Bakken. That's really a strength of theirs, moving the ball and just getting as many of their quality players involved and on the board as possible.
Yeah, and in the domestic league there, they have 7 guys averaging double figures, and believe it or not, Bolin is one of the ones that's not averaging 9 points. And so this is a team that really spreads the scoring around, have weapons all over the court. And for Newcastle, you got to understand, you're on the road. This team is going to go on runs, and so you got to have that mentality. Coach Mark Studel will be preaching, bend but don't break.
Yeah, averaging over 100 points domestically this year, Bakken. 25 assists per game as well, which just shows how much they do spread around. Although they have had the odd bit of issue at home, a couple of defeats in the league at home, and both their European defeats have been here in Aarhus. So something for the Eagles to you know, just grasp, and there's a little bit of hope there. They're certainly not out of this tie by any means, as we're back underway with Jordan Johnson. Now Will Neighbour finds Delpesh. Movement from the Eagles. Delpesh on the tip, still going. Delpesh under the boards, working really hard. Basket's waved off. Foul was called beforehand.
And that's terrific energy and effort from Delpesh. That's the expectation. That's the role on this team coming off the bench. These are the type of plays that he must provide for Newcastle if they're going to get out of here and make up this deficit here on the road.
It's going to be a big night for the bench, the likes of Delpesh, Ward Hibbert. And it definitely need to contribute for the Eagles to get through. Chance here for Delpesh to tie it up on the night, which he does so. So we're level at 15 apiece.
Wow, I mean, you're talking about a 50% or below free throw shooter. Delpesh stepping up there and making both. Nice job.
Here's Jeff open for three. He gets away from Neighbour. Foul's called on the floor.
Yeah, and that foul, I believe it was called on Larry Austin. If so, then that foul needs to be on Will Neighbour because he overcommitted there on the big fella. We talked about it. That's not his forte, shooting out there. Should have committed to the short closeout. Instead, got drawn in, and Newcastle gets the foul called.
There's Jeff once more. This time kicks it out. It's another three ball. No good, and the putback jam from Malik Parsons.
Wow.
Neighbour trying to answer with a three for Newcastle. No good. Here comes
0 for 4 here tonight, getting some great looks.
Parsons again, this time out to Jeff for three, and we said it's not really his game, but he's nailed that one.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he's a professional basketball player, so you have to be in the vicinity. As Delpesh drives off the pick and roll and off a trampoline there for two.
Answering a slam with a slam. Just showing that anything you can do, we can do too. And that might just quieten the Bakken crowd a little bit. Parsons, Evans in the corner. Guarded by Delpesh, puts up the two, no good. Austin Jr. on the board. Offensive foul called here against Delpesh on the screen.
Yep, moving screen there on Delpesh as Larry Austin tried to get into the crease there. Great call there by the ref.
Well, Neighbour takes a seat. Taj Green will come back in. And inbounds to Churchill. Guarded by Ward Hibbert. Out to Jeff. That's nice ball movement from the two veterans. Bolin driving to the basket, trying to find a pass. Kicks out, back to Bolin. Nails it.
And a mistake defensively from the Eagles. They had the guard there, trapped there. Opportunity, and Delpesh kind of let off, and that's what we call just making plays.
And talking of making plays, there is a superb one from Jordan Johnson.
Jordan Johnson doing what he does best as the referees congregate to see if that was before the buzzer, which I believe it was, and yes, it was. And Jordan Johnson with a huge bucket there to end the first quarter.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have a review here just to confirm. Referees want to make sure that this was before the buzzer.
And I misread the sign language there. Usually the monitor is the finger over the head helicopter signal, and the referee kind of did the and one signal, which to me Ooh, that was close.
It is close. We can have a look. Yeah, we'll have another look. So rewind it. See the shot clock counting down over the basket. This
just gets it away.
I think he's just got it off, but it's literally a frame in it.
Wow, thank goodness for technology, but he just gets it off and the referee agrees there. Great basket by Jordan Johnson.
That's leaving it as late as possible for Jordan Johnson, but the Eagles won't mind it whatsoever.
Serios Group Newcastle Eagles live in the ENBL.
Brought to you by
Serios Group, Simpson Group,
Just cue me when we're back.
and Match Day Media. Okay.
So we're going to take a look at some of the highlights of the first quarter. So the Eagles really started hot. Ricky McGill with a three early on there, and it was really the perfect start from the Eagles, wasn't it, Drew?
Yeah, absolutely. Bakken started off really cold from beyond the arc, and I felt like Newcastle kind of missed out on an opportunity to have a bigger lead there. But like we talked about, you got to understand that sooner or later the home team is going to start making shots, and we got a great game ahead. Newcastle right there in the mix, right where you want to be.
Yeah, 7-point lead was their biggest in that first quarter for the Eagles. Possession, and it did change hands plenty of times. You see there, a three ball, and there's another from Noah Churchill, and really back in towards the end of that quarter. Just started to heat up from outside. Couple of missed assignments defensively for the Eagles, and I'm sure that will frustrate Coach Stoutel.
Yeah, and I agree with you. That was all the defensive collapse. It wasn't tough shots by any means from the home team, and so Newcastle just has to tighten up on that end and be ready to defend and sit in the stands for 24 seconds.
It's a three ball to start the second, which is no good. Jordan Johnson's pass is almost picked off. Come and collect it again here, Johnson. Floater is off. Here's Ward Hibbert open from beyond the arc. His three ball's no good. Eagles working hard on these rebounds, but defensively, this time it falls the way of Bakken. Here comes Skylar Boland. Noah Churchill looking for another open three. Tries to hand that one off. That's a wayward pass. Here come the Eagles on the fast break. Delpesh looking to lay it in. No good.
And that is a play that must be converted there on the break. You got a numbers advantage, and that has to be finished. A missed opportunity there by Newcastle.
Both teams starting the second a little bit cold. That's an easy lay-in for Berg. First points of the second quarter for either side.
And Berg was huge off the bench in game one. Came there and provided some inside presence for the Bakken Bears and picks up where he left off there.
Here's Johnson looking to answer for the Eagles, which he does.
And that's a tough shot by Jordan Johnson, something we've seen time and time again over the season, getting into the crease where he's either going to get fouled or drop at the bottom of the net, as the big fella again says that's not an aberration from beyond the arc.
Yeah, Jeff, he's the FIBA Europe Cup all-time leading scorer, and he's just showcasing some of that scoring ability already tonight. Another fast break here for Bakken. Churchill kicks this one out. It's another open three. No good. Austin Jr. on the rebound. Nice work from Austin Jr., but what a block that is from Sylvester Berg.
Wow, Berg timing that perfectly as he comes back on the other end and lays it up for two. A great play on both ends. We talked about it. He was great in game one. And again, showing his worth for the home team.
Big 10 seconds there for the Danish international. And it's plays like that that really could have an effect at the end this evening. Austin Jr. lays that one in, foul called.
Yeah, that's a great play by Austin Jr. there. That's his MO, getting into the paint where he can finish. As you see Berg there, gets all the way to the basket, and you see it here. He times it perfectly and sends that out. And then the great thing is he runs on the other end of the floor as well, and he's the recipient of a layup. Great job there by Berg. But Larry Austin able to slow things down where he'll go to the line for one.
Yeah, Berg's just going to take a seat on the bench. Much earned rest after his work in the last 30 seconds. Austin Jr. gets the and-one. He'll take a seat. A couple of words from Mark Stutel. Ricky McGill re-enters.
Yeah, you see a lot of rotation bodies here with Newcastle have already gone 10 deep. And, you know, a guy that's played in big games like this before, when you get to one and dones, I feel as though you got to shorten the rotation. You give the guys a little bite of the apple to see who's ready to play. But this isn't the environment. This isn't the time. This isn't the setting to allow guys to kind of settle in. You kind of find your 6 guys, and I expect them to play heavy minutes. Whoever he decides are going to be his guys tonight.
Yeah, and whoever does play heavy minutes won't have long to recover. Obviously, the Eagles have got that home domestic fixture Friday night back at the Virtue Motors Arena, and then for a few they've got the All-Star game as well to look forward to. So a busy week or so for some of these Newcastle Eagles as Juff nails another 3. He is really heating up.
Wow. 3 threes here in the first 13 minutes of this affair. And you talking about Jeff, who's a 22% three-point shooter in the Danish league. Wow.
He's winding back the years all of a sudden. He loves playing in Europe. The Eagles don't want to be on the receiving end tonight as Taj Green, another man not necessarily always known for his 3-ball, nails that one.
And that was much needed for the Newcastle Eagles. And Taj Green says, I can do that too.
2 big men having a battle from beyond the arc, not necessarily what we expected. Foul called there against the Eagles. Darius Defoe, as he so often does, is pleading his case with the officials.
Darius Defoe, 20 years in this game, has been around the block there and back. And, you know, early on, the intent from both of these teams is completely different. You can tell the urgency from both clubs, where I felt like in game 1, both teams were just kind of, you know, I wouldn't say going through the motions, but it is an 80-minute game, and you don't want to, you know, nothing could be won or lost there, but the urgency level is at an all-time high here in game 2.
Gustav Knudsen from the line. He's a touch under 65% free throw shooter in the domestic league.
Again, 20 years old, him and Churchill there, 2 young lads, and I look for the Newcastle Eagle guards to really take advantage. He's matched up against Jordan Johnson now. Look for him to use his strength and his experience against the young fella.
Yeah, he's going to be called for a foul there as well. I mentioned the youngsters that they've got. They've also got young Frederick Eriksson on the bench. He is just 17, so if we see number 77 later, there's plenty of youth to go along with the experience in this Bakken roster. Jordan Johnson drives in. Defoe on the rebound. Can't make that one, though. Another missed opportunity for the Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles are doing a great job of creating second chance points, but can't finish, and that's actually what kept them in the first game, were the second chance points. In game 1, they had 19, to be specific, off of 15 offensive rebounds.
That's not what the Eagles want. You do not want to be leaving Skylar Boland with that much time and space, and the Bakken captain punishes them.
Yeah, that's target practice right there for the veteran. You know, they have to do a better job of scrambling.
It's another 3-ball for Bakken, and the Eagles don't really want to turn this into a shootout, because I fear that Bakken are going to outshoot the Eagles tonight in terms of percentages. I think we've got to take it back to the game one, and you mentioned it earlier. What kept the Eagles in that was second chance points and second chance buckets. They're going to have to work hard on the boards again tonight, the Eagles, but at the moment what we're seeing is they're creating opportunities, they're then not taking those.
Yeah, and that's the key for me. The Newcastle Eagles must score. I mean, defensively, it's been a question mark all season, but they haven't beaten teams with their defense. They've beaten them with their offense, and since November 10th, they've been 17-9, playing some terrific basketball, but there's a common denominator in that stretch. Well, out of those wins, 90 is the ceiling. When they score 90, they win most of the time. Only 2 games where they scored in the 80s and lost, but when they score in the 80s, that's when they typically have lost those 9 games. And so keep an eye on that. The Newcastle Eagles, 90 points has to be the target.
Yeah, 90 is definitely going to be the target. You look at Bakken's European averages this year, they average 87.6 points per game. So if we get to that 90 region, all of a sudden that 5-point deficit, we're talking 2s and 3s, it's going to be very close either way.
Absolutely, and if they're going to do it, they got to be able to take advantage of the second chance opportunities they're creating. But these last 5 minutes here are crucial going into the half.
Here's Ricky McGill. Step back and nails the 2. That'll certainly help.
And the MVP making MVP timely plays there, stopping on a dime, snatching it behind the leg. Nothing but net. Beautiful play.
There's the youngster Gustav Knudsen. Foul's going to be called there against Ricky McGill.
Yeah, and on this end of the court, I felt like he could have had a little bit more resistance here. You see the 20-year-old pushing Ricky McGill, who I know is a lot stronger than that, and getting to his spot. Got to do it on both ends this time of the year.
No good with the first free throw, the young Gustav Knudsen. But Bakken have crept out to a 7-point advantage here already. Those 3s just starting to tell on the scoreboard. The Eagles, it's a big 5 minutes for them going into half-time.
Absolutely.
There's Darius Defoe. Now with Ricky McGill. Gets it back off Whitfield. Whitfield with a long-range 3, no good. Eagles trying to get the rebound. Ball's all over the place, but McGill has it back now for the Eagles, and that's the kind of hustle that they need. It's another opportunity for 3, no good again. The Eagles win it back with Defoe. It's good work on the boards. Now Jordan Johnson drives to the basket, and that one doesn't drop either. Nothing going the way of the Eagles last 5 minutes.
How many times have we seen Jordan Johnson in that situation, and usually it's cash money, and Whitfield, who's a 40% three-point shooter, just went 8 for 8 a week ago, missing 2 open looks. And so the Eagles role players, Will Neighbor 0 for 5, and usually role players don't typically play well on the road. So I'm looking for Ricky McGill, Jordan Johnson. Their superstars, Larry Austin, are going to have big nights tonight.
The game's just getting a little bit ragged from both sides. A turnover from Bakken this time. Oh, and there's another one from Newcastle. That really sums it up the last 5 minutes or so. Just a miscommunication from Ricky McGill and Darius Defoe.
Yeah, and the Eagles got to have their composure right now. They got to be locked in. 4:23 left in the...
Sit back and scores as well. The youngster is having an effect out there. It's a 10-point lead on the night for Bakken. Newcastle giving the ball to the MVP, Ricky McGill. What can he do? His layup is no good.
Oh, Newcastle just cannot finish here tonight, and Ricky McGill looks like he's getting a little bit frustrated there. He's chomping away at the refs, and what that does as a player is it takes away from your mental focus on the actual game, and so he has to stay composed.
Foul called against Whitfield there. The Eagles just look a little bit flustered in this second quarter. Bakken taking full advantage.
As Newcastle moves to a 2-3 zone here at the moment.
Kicked out to Skylar Bolin. It's Knudsen in the corner for three. This time it doesn't drop for him. It's good work from the Eagles. Here goes Austin. Lovely move from Larry Austin, and a much needed two to stop the rot.
Oh, much needed, but they got to get back on defense.
It just doesn't help at the minute. Every time Newcastle do finally score, Bakken are just going straight up the other end and adding more points of their own.
And that's unacceptable. Larry Austin on a pretty much a one-man fast break. There was someone there under the basket with them, so that means three guys didn't cross half court. So it's unexcusable for them to be able to make one pass and get the ball to Ryan Evans there under the basket.
That's a great pass from McGill. Foul will be called there against Skylar Bolin.
And it's a big night for the British Basketball League as the London Lions are also in Romania playing in the second leg of the Euro Cup with a 14-point lead. And so we would love to make it 2-0 here tonight.
Could well be a historic night for British basketball in Europe if that was the case. Here's Austin for three. No good. Eagles just not having the luck at the minute in the second quarter. Under 3 minutes to go to the half. Evans up against Will Neighbour. Kicks that out to Knudsen for three. In front of the rim. It's good work from Austin Jr. Another one-man fast break really, and the putback from Taj Green.
And Taj Green running the floor as Larry Austin doing what he does. And he says, hey, look what I found, as he scoops up the offensive rebound. He times it perfectly here and just extends and finishes a huge play for the Newcastle Eagles.
Seen it time and again from him this year, both domestically and in Europe. That explosiveness and the ability for a real show reel of a play as Bakken take a timeout here. And you feel it's a big few minutes until the half here for Newcastle. Get a few scores, all of a sudden just chip into that Bakken advantage. And post the half break, you feel that the Eagles are certainly still in it.
Well, I always talk about this, the last 3 minutes of a game, of a quarter, finishing off quarters. Our coaches used to say it all the time, Fab Flournoy and our assistant, Dave Forstner, finishing off quarters, because you can either break the lead down to 4 or 5 points, or the home team can extend it to double digits. And so this is a huge moment in this second leg.
Taj Green, leading scorer for the Eagles tonight so far with 9. For Bakken, it's Juff leading the way. He's the only man in double figures so far with 11.
And you know what? I wouldn't panic if I'm Newcastle, if it's Jeff with making 3 threes, and you got to play the percentages on him. You just have to respect it. You don't want to overcommit on it because he's made 3. You just want to be a little bit tighter on those closeouts, but stay disciplined to everyone else. Stay disciplined to Bolin, with Berg and all those other guys who are a lot more of a threat from beyond the arc. And so you have to stick with your game plan.
Already 4 of Bakken's players 100% from field goal range. They are very efficient shooters as a group. Here's Evans.
Watch out for the pump fake.
Green tracks him all the way. It's well defended, and Larry Austin Jr. on the ball. That's a wayward ball, though, from Austin Jr. This should be an easy 2 points, and it is, as Malik Parsons slams it home.
And cross-court passes. We saw it earlier. Newcastle Eagle dodging a bullet with the cross-court pass. That time, Bakken takes advantage of it as, again, they come up empty on the offensive side.
Berg into Evans. It's another missed opportunity and missed assignment for the Eagles defensively. Another wide open layup for Bakken.
Well, what happened was they were sending a double team for the weak side, and there just wasn't enough hustle from Whitfield. It was too slow, which opened up his man. And so if you're going to double, you got to come up with high hands, and you got to come aggressively to where there's a surprise. Evans was able to read it and see the play unfold and pick the defense apart.
Coming up to the final minute here in the first half. Larry Austin Jr. gets 2. And that will certainly help. Back down to 10 on the night. Foul called here against Will Neighbour.
So you see the cross-court pass right there. Bodies on the floor, and Parsons able to take advantage. A 4-point turnaround. And this is the play right here. Watch Whitfield come on the weak side. No high hands. His guy just cuts back. Will Neighbour is supposed to drop, and it's just a defensive collapse there technically from the Newcastle Eagles.
A couple of big points for Malik Parsons there. And Bakken have a 15-point advantage in the tie as it stands.
And yeah, Will Neighbour fouling Parsons, who we talked about is not a three-point shooter. You foul him from 30 feet, which sends him to the line as they're in the bonus. And just, we talked about it. Newcastle Eagles got to get out this half and get to the locker room and talk about how they can sharpen things up.
Yeah, Parsons, this would put him in double figures this evening. He is one of several Bakken players, we already mentioned, who average over double figures domestically. He averages just over 14 points a game. Jordan Johnson, screen set by Will Neighbour. Johnson out to Ward Hibbert. Now Neighbour on the perimeter. Eagles trying to get a look.
Fantastic defense.
That's superb from Bakken, nothing easy, although good hustle from the Eagles, and Will Neighbour slams it home.
Wow, much needed play there. Will Neighbour staying in the hunt and showing that he's finally healthy after having knee surgery there in December. Great to have him back, but a defensive collapse there.
Eagles with the final possession of the half. Clock winding down. 5, 4, 3. Johnson needs to get a shot off. Shot is blocked, and that really sums it up. It's been a really strong first half from the hosts, and the Eagles have work to do in the second half, Drew.
They have a lot of work to do there. That is a terrific half by Bakken. They showed their experience. They showed their toughness. They showed their quality. And for the Newcastle Eagles, kind of lacked a plan B there when there was nothing in transition, nothing easy. What's next? And so they got to go into the half. They're explosive ball club, so they're not out of this thing, but they definitely need to regroup.
Yeah, 49-37. You see it there on your screens. Obviously add on the Bakken 5-point advantage from the first leg. So a big half for the Newcastle Eagles needed in the second half. We're going to have a quick advert break, and then we will be right back.
Serios Group Newcastle Eagles live in the ENBL.
Brought to you by
Serios Group,
Simpson Group, and Matchday Media.
Is watching basketball at 3 in the morning enough? No, of course not. So you always wanted to be part of the team. Your own basketball club. In your own backyard. What if I said you could? ENBL. 9 European countries, 15 pro teams, 60 games a season. The fastest growing basketball league in Europe. In the arena, on TV, or streaming live on your phone. Reach out to us and join the ENBL family. ENBL, right here in your backyard.
Serios Group Newcastle Eagles live in the ENBL.
Brought to you by
Serios Group,
Simpson Group, and Matchday Media.
Is watching basketball at 3 in the morning enough? No, of course not. So you always wanted to be part of the team. Your own basketball club in your own backyard. What if I said you could? ENBL. 9 European countries, 15 pro teams, 60 games a season. The fastest growing basketball league in Europe. In the arena, on TV, or streaming live on your phone. Reach out to us and join the ENBL family. ENBL, right here in your backyard.
So welcome back to the Sparkassen Denmark Basketball Centre here in Aarhus. Half time here in the second leg of the European North Basketball League playoff between Bakken Bears and Newcastle Eagles, and it's the hosts who have quite a big advantage, 49-37. They lead by 12 on the night. It's their biggest lead of the night. Just looking through some of the stats, you've got Parsons has got 12, Juff 11, but for the Eagles, Drew, scoring it just hasn't been easy going at all. You look through some of the numbers, Jordan Johnson 3 of 10, Austin Juniors 3 of 6, Ricky McGill 2 of 7. They need somebody to step up in this second half.
Yeah, they definitely do, and they're just out of sync. I think it started with that lineup change. They brought Whitfield into the starting lineup, which they've become really comfortable with their roles and with the rotations, and I understand why they did it, because they're trying to cross-match defensively, but the Eagles haven't got here by playing defense. They've gotten here by scoring, and so I just think it's thrown a couple of guys out of rhythm, but that's in the past now. You got to wake yourself up, shake yourself up, and you got to dig yourself out of this hole.
Yeah, nobody in double figures for the Eagles so far, and they've got 20 minutes of basketball to get themselves into that final four. There's nothing to lose here for the Eagles. In these situations, actually, can it help when you have nothing to lose? You can just play free and take as many risks as you want?
Yeah, that's a great point, Alex. And now the handcuffs are whatever tightness you were playing with, that's released now, because now there's absolutely nothing to lose. And so those shots should feel a little bit freer, and we'll see if that's the case here.
Whitfield's 3 is in and out to start the second half. He's still yet to get on the scoreboard. Going to need moments like that to drop for the Eagles in the second half if they've got a chance of overcoming this deficit. Here comes Boland. Now Pinckney for 3, nails it, and that's really the tail of the tape so far. Shot from the Eagles goes in and out. Shot from Bakken, nothing but net.
And that's what happens when you're the home team. And we talked about it earlier. They out the gates, they really struggle from beyond the arc. But I mentioned it wasn't going to be forever. And so, guys like there, who's not a great three-point shooter, that's a great closeout by Taj. But now the floodgates have been open. Everyone's confidence is going from those early, easy baskets. And so Newcastle has to find a way to regroup, and they got to do it quick.
Eagles kept Pinckney quiet in that first half, just the 2 points for him. He scored 16 in the first leg, but already on the board in the second half. It's better movement from the Eagles as Taj Green scores their first points of this second half.
And you use the key word there, movement. In the first half, I felt like offense was stagnant, a little bit of over-dribbling. That time, 3 guys touched it without dribbling, and an easy basket there for the Eagles.
There's Boland, deep 3, no good. Green on the rebound. Eagles come forward. And another 2, this time from Jordan Johnson. All of a sudden, a little bit more tempo and pace about the Newcastle Eagles.
And that's what it is. They got to have and play with more pace. And how do you play with pace? You got to string together stops.
And there's another stop, another turnover. Eagles showing some hustle at the start of this second half.
Yeah, you got to love the way that they've come out. And like you mentioned at the top, Alice, there's nothing to lose. And so you can be a little bit more aggressive. You can take some more risk, and you got to make sure you convert on the other side. And so a great opportunity here to get in a run. And we know Newcastle, they can string together 11 points in the blink of an eye. And so this game is far from over.
Now we went on one scoring run of 8-0 earlier in this game. We've seen what the Eagles can do offensively this season. They're certainly not out of it. Defoe from mid-range, we've seen that for 20 years.
And that's the first time we've seen the mid-range jumper from him as he gets his first basket of the game. And so it's just getting back to doing what got you here.
Here's Evans looking for a mid-range of his own. Eagles fighting hard to win another turnover, and they have done so. This has been much better from the Eagles. Kick out. Here's a three. Nail from Whitfield.
Huge.
He's on the board.
Huge bucket there. Whitfield gets on the board, and again, getting stops, getting off to the races. Whitfield with his feet set. As you see him clapping there, he's ready to go. Welcome to the party, young fella.
And he's a man. We saw what he could do in domestic fixture last week. If he heats up from beyond the arc, then the Eagles are most definitely still in this.
Yeah, most definitely. And they need more plays like this, getting out to the races. Jordan Johnson being aggressive. Defoe getting to his spot, the mid-range. And then finally, Whitfield getting his feet set where he was 8 for 8 last week. Great little run here.
3 big buckets, but Malik Parsons responds with a bucket of his own. He's been one of Bakken's best players tonight.
And the reason why he's done a great job of moving without the basketball, and he's been able to the Eagles have lost sight of him here tonight, and that's how he's been able to generate his offense.
That's come off the foot, so should still be Eagles ball. Jordan Johnson to inbound. Gets it back from McGill. Johnson fouled and tosses it up and in.
And Jordan Johnson there, he squeezes in the little gap there, was able to draw contact as he sticks his right leg out. And how many times have we seen this? Right there, and one. He is an artist when it comes to drawing foul and understanding the rule of the act of shooting. That's why he leads the British Basketball League, and not only free throw makes, but free throw takes.
Johnson from the line adds the and one. Alexander Sommer, the Bakken head coach, might just be starting to look a little bit nervous at the way the Eagles have started this second half. There's a slight issue with the scoreboard at the minute from our host broadcast partners. Bakken, it's 54-49 as it stands on the night. That's great hustle once again from the Eagles to force another turnover. Here comes Johnson. Spin move, hands it off to Taj Green with the slam. The Eagles are flowing offensively and defensively all of a sudden. This is a much changed Newcastle team as we see the full replay. Brilliant work from Ricky McGill to keep that in, and then down the other end, Johnson with the spin, hands it off to Taj Green, who applies the finish. Timeout called by Bakken, and Andy Sommer will be reiterating a few messages to his troops just to try and contain the Eagles on this run. Outscoring their hosts 14-5 in the second half already. It's been the perfect response since half-time. So 54-51 the score on the night now. Reminder, of course, that Bakken have those extra 5 from the first half of this tie, in the game at Newcastle 2 weeks ago. Work to do for the hosts now. Newcastle with a few big plays at the start of this second half. Here's Noah Churchill. Made a couple of big threes in that first half, as did Juff. He was 3 for 4 from beyond the arc in the first half. Bolin with a spin, out to Juff. Thought about a 3. Instead hands it off to Bolin. There's an offensive foul called on the boards, and look at the passion from Mark Stutzel and the Newcastle bench. Darius Defoe draws the foul, and all of a sudden everything is going the Eagles' way.
And that's right there. Sorry about my technical difficulties, but the Newcastle Eagles looking like a re-energized ball club here in the third quarter.
This is much more like it from the Eagles. I saw the passion on display from Mark Stutzel. Be very frustrated with that first half performance. He said he felt that there was more to come from this team after the first leg deficit. He felt that they were match for match with Bakken right up until the stretch. This second half start will please him greatly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel as though 60 minutes of out of sorts as Taj Green brings it to a 1-point lead, and he says too small to the back-end defense, and we got a ball game, ladies and gentlemen.
Newcastle right back in this, and looking for another steal is the hustle from Ricky McGill. Doesn't get it on this occasion. Foul's going to be called on Jordan Johnson, but the Eagles so close to another steal.
And that's what's led to success there in this European campaign. Ricky McGill, Larry Austin leading the league in steals, and you mentioned it, Alex. There's no need to hold back. Be aggressive. You know what I mean? Take chances. And Newcastle Eagles have done just that in the third, and they got the Bakken Bears on their back foot, and this place is quiet.
Yeah, looks like the Eagles are playing with freedom all of a sudden. A little bit of a stiff first half. Struggling to find open looks, and we talked about the lack of movement offensively. Certainly in the second half there hasn't been a lack of movement whatsoever, as Bolin hits the 3, but that's off the iron, so no good. Away come the Eagles, more pace. Here comes Green on the fast break, and the score, and the Eagles lead on the night.
Wow, we have a 4-point ball game in aggregate. The Newcastle Eagles in only 5 minutes able to erase a 12-point halftime deficit. How have they done it on the defensive end and getting off to the races?
More tough defense, this time from McGill. Churchill trying to get away. McGill with the block shot.
That's fantastic defense. And I look back at the film in that first game, and I felt that Newcastle Eagles could have been a lot more aggressive. And I mentioned it at the top that Mark Stutzel should have showed this team the last 3 minutes. How were they able to erase that 11-point lead? Was being relentless and aggressive, as you see right here.
All of a sudden, this game is getting a little bit tasty. Another offensive foul called, this time on Sylvester Berg from the inbound. The Eagles doing everything they can to win possession back, and this is another thing that we didn't really see in the first half. All of a sudden now the Eagles just able to draw those offensive fouls.
And absolutely, and you see the Newcastle Eagles traveling crowd there behind the bench, all standing up, blowing horns, active, and wow, shout out to those guys for making the trip out there and supporting the guys and really feeding off their play at the moment.
Yeah, superb to see the travelling support with the Eagles and making so much noise, really cheering the team on and getting behind them. Here comes Jordan Johnson. Resets as the shot clock hits 10. Green with 3. Taj Green can do no wrong.
Ooh, Taj Green showing the whole repertoire, getting it done, saying I'm more than just a role player. I can play from beyond the arc, but right there under the basket.
Jeff, with all his experience, gets 2 right back. Here come the Eagles. Real pace about this game. Defoe from mid-range, chooses not to shoot. Green thought about the 3, instead back down his man, and it's more from the repertoire of Taj Green.
Wow, and he's showing you the whole repertoire, Alex. He passed up a good shot for a great shot, recognizing the mismatch, and we're seeing him grow right before our eyes.
And we've got a 1-point game on aggregate now. Eagles lead by 4 on the night. 3 for Bakken, off the rim. Eagles trying to win possession back. Mark Stoessel, you can see, much more animated in this second half. He's happy with the hustle and energy shown by his team. See Taj Green there. We're going to get a look at a couple of those recent plays from Green. He's all of a sudden lighting up this game.
Yes, sir. And how do you get yourself in the game? By doing the little things, hustle points, which then fuels your confidence, and then all of a sudden that 3 ball, the basket, looks like the ocean, and then you get going. And so Newcastle Eagles doing a great job there. And living to the sky, report Parsons. You want a short closeout, you'll live with that. Jordan Johnson has to go attack the glass and go get that rebound there. I think that's why Coach Mark Stoessel was animated.
Eagles up 23-7 in this quarter. It's a huge swing. Whatever Mark Stoessel said at half-time has certainly worked. There's Parsons off the inbound, well defended by Green. Another turnover force. Here come the Eagles. 3 from Johnson. No good.
You will live with that. That's a great shot. That's Newcastle Eagles basketball there. Get out in transition, fire away.
Another offensive foul called. More brilliant play defensively from the Eagles. They look like a different team in the second half.
Absolutely. Yes, they do. They know what's on the line. They finally woken up. 60 minutes of basketball. They were playing, passive, not aggressive, tight. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what Coach said at halftime, but sure, I need a piece of that as well to wake me up on Monday mornings.
Here comes Johnson. Johnson drives to the basket and lays it in. Eagles in the lead.
And not only do they lead in this game, they got a 1-point lead aggregate as well. And so these last 2 minutes are huge.
McGill gets the rebound. Eagles now looking to extend their lead as Green with a huge slam.
Taj Green there on the express delivery. Ricky McGill pushes it, drops it off, as we said right there, 2 feet, cocks it back, hangs and swings on the rim. And ladies and gentlemen, I can hear the whole city of Newcastle up on their feet.
Taj Green switches the lights out in Bakken. That is a sensational finish from the big man. We've seen him do it time and again in the British Basketball League with both Manchester and Newcastle, and that was sensational. As Bakken call a timeout, they need to change something here to the host. Newcastle totally dominant in this second half.
And how are they doing it? With the superstars. We talked about it. Role play is difficult. It's subdued on the road. And so I said it before. Ricky McGill, Taj Green, Jordan Johnson had to step up their game. And once they got aggressive, now all of a sudden Whitfield, he's starting to set his feet and hit his basket. Defoe is getting to his mid-range, but it's all set up by that guy right there, Jordan Johnson, the PG.
Taj Green up to 24 points for the night. He's 11 of 14, including 2 for 3 from beyond the arc. Just shows you how brilliant he's been in this second half.
He's been aggressive, and he's been finishing from inside, outside, and what he's done a great job of is in transition, running the floor. We call it rim running when you're going from rim to rim, and although we know the Newcastle Eagle guards are aggressive, sometimes you got to get there because you never know what you might find hanging around, and he's found a drop-off offensive rebounds all night long.
That's a big play out of the timeout from Pinckney. He'll go to the line for the and-one.
And I love that from Darius Defoe right there. He's getting on Whitfield. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's position, and he's still upset. And that's called leadership right there, guys. Holding guys accountable.
Still see him on the bench, still showing his frustrations. Darius Defoe tonight would mean a huge amount to everyone associated with the Newcastle Eagles organisation, but you feel to him especially in his 20-year career this would mean more than most, as the extra is missed from Pinckney. That'll help the Eagles, they stay in the lead on aggregate. Ricky McGill
going back to the well.
McGill and Green starting to combine. Green tried to another massive throwdown, didn't go this time. Sloppy mistake though by Bakken. He'll get another chance here. Here goes Green. Tries to just lay this one in with the finger roll, no good. Although the hustle from Taj Green to win the ball back.
Wow. Wow, Taj Green showing everything, leaving his heart right there on the floor in Denmark.
Uncharacteristic misses from Green, but it's what the Eagles have done so well in this half, is they've bounced back, they've shown that resilience. As here comes Johnson, off the spin move. Shot's no good.
Tough shot.
Well, it's another steal, is it, from Green? No fouls called this time.
Wow. Taj Green has been unbelievable in these first 3 quarters there. He's all over the place.
Taj Green just slightly overly aggressive on this occasion, but the Eagles won't mind it. Coach Stutel won't mind it as Jordan Johnson takes a seat.
You see Bolin right there, using his experience, telling the team to calm down. There's still plenty of basketball to play, and that's what it's going to come down to, Alex. Which team can be the most composed? The emotions are running high for both sides. The pressure is at an all-time high. But ultimately, you got to make sure you hold your nerve.
Sylvester Berg is under 50% for free throws this season in the Danish Basket League. Makes both of them on that occasion though. Back in front on aggregate. Here comes Ricky McGill, just starting to dictate this game a little bit more as the Newcastle playmaker. And there is McGill with a lovely stop for 2.
And that's why he's the MVP. He's the prober, looking to get into those creases where mid-range is his forte.
Foul called on Ward Hibbert. Parsons will go to the line. Bolin takes a seat. He'll be replaced by Noah Churchill, who comes back in. He's been quiet since making those early couple of threes.
Yeah, we mentioned at the top, he's only 20 years old, and so, you know, if I'm Newcastle, you have to sense that every time he's bringing the ball down the floor, I'm hounding him to see how tight that handle is, as Parsons feels the nerves. Short on the first one.
Parsons short of the first one. Neighbour is back into the game instead of Taj Green. He definitely deserves a drink on the sidelines. Parsons makes the second. 61-66. Tied up on aggregate.
2-for-1 opportunity here. Excuse me, Alex, just saying a 2-for-1 opportunity here. Let's see if Newcastle Eagles takes it.
Eagles will be keeping an eye on the clock. Free ball from Ricky McGill is good.
Wow. And it looked like an and one as well, as the defender Berg landed in his shooting space, which is normally called in the British Basketball League, but the refs say play on.
McGill looking for what would have been a 4-point play. Here come Bakken. A second differential between shot and game clock. Parsons with a lovely move, but the layup is no good. That does the third. What a quarter from the Newcastle Eagles. They came into halftime with a massive deficit. That is a sensational third quarter from the Eagles. 32-12, a 20-point swing in that third quarter. We're going to take a very short break and then we'll look back on the highlights from that period.
Serios Group Newcastle Eagles live in the ENBL.
Brought to you by
Serios Group,
Simpson Group, and Matchday Media.
So Drew, as we look back at the highlights from that third period, a 3 from Pinckney, but after that it was all about the Eagles.
Absolutely, and I talked about it before the game. 90 points is the threshold, and so for the Eagles, it ain't about the defense. It's about offense. That's the only way that you're going to win. That's been your MO all season, and it's just about getting timely stops. I mean, they haven't showed the ability to lock anybody down. That's why I wasn't confident playing in the 60s and 70s, but you see right now they're at their best when they do this. They get off to the races. They play with pace and space, and Taj Green, wow. You talk about the impact that he's had tonight. He gets it going from the inside, which opens up his outside game. And Alice, it's all to play for in this last 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's the highlights from the quarter, but it could just be a Taj Green package as you see another slam from him in that period. Even impressed himself with that one, I think. He's up to 24 points for the night, 15 for Johnson, 12 for McGill. I said the Eagles dropped 32 points on Bakken in that period, and all of a sudden the tempo was raised, the hustle from the Eagles. Where was that in the first half?
Where was it in the first game? For the first 60 minutes, we talked about it. This is playoff basketball. There's no tomorrow, and every possession you got to play it like your last. And I don't know, whatever Coach Mark Studel said at the half, it worked, and now we're starting to see the real version, the best version of the Newcastle Eagles.
One of the best quarters of basketball you will see all year from the Eagles. Going to have to follow it up though here. Still 10 minutes left in this tie, potentially more, of course. Evans under the basket. First points of the fourth quarter go to Bakken.
And that's a great move there by Evans. Delpesh could have done a better job of angling him to the baseline there.
There's Austin Jr. Now McGill pops the 3 off the front of the iron. There is Taj Green on the rebound, but the shot is blocked. Good hustle defensively from Bakken this time.
And that was a superb block there by Berg.
Going at the other end, Parsons trying to lay it in. Foul on the floor is called against Parsons, so it will be Newcastle ball.
Oh, Newcastle there, dodge a bullet again. Parsons in disbelief as he's missed his last 2 buckets right there at the rim. That's what he likes to do, get into the paint, and it looks like he's hobbling a little bit.
Parsons walking a little bit gingerly, potentially after collision with Taj Green.
Right there, left foot, left ankle step right there on Taj Green's foot there.
Yeah, it's a big foot to step on, but it's certainly not as flat and as sturdy as the floor would be. So Parsons just a little bit gingerly getting up.
And this is where you have to recognize him. Recognize that. Test out that ankle. Get him out into space. See what the lateral movement is after that little tweak.
It looks like he's taking a seat on the bench, Parsons, for the time being. Here's Austin Jr. driving to the lane. Shots blocked by Berg. Austin Jr. still down.
Yeah, Larry Austin has to kick that driving kick there to the shooter, and Bakken has showed a great. They've been walling up since the very beginning, and Larry has to understand that and just make the simple play.
Home fans make some noise. As you see, Coach Stutel there. Austin Jr. goes to the bench. Jordan Johnson back in.
And I talked about this earlier, Alex, is that Newcastle went deep into their rotations earlier. With 8 minutes to go, this is the time to go with your guns. And I'm finishing the game off with the guys I feel like give me the best chance to win.
Evans with the 3. That's a big play. He's come out in this fourth quarter big time. He's going to get an and one opportunity as well.
In for Newcastle, Serios to foul.
Yeah, Del Pesh has to understand that you land in his landing space there, but what happened was he lost track of him. Evans can hit that shot. He's proven that. Big mistake there defensively.
Ryan Evans, 13 points, 15 rebounds in the first leg, and he's starting to heat up tonight as well. Newcastle's lead on the night is back down to 2. Bakken in front on aggregate. Here's Green into the paint. 2's no good. Ward Hibbert trying to get the rebound. Newcastle trying to show hustle on Berg. That should be a jump ball.
Great hustle there.
Both teams laying it all out there with 8 minutes to go in this tie.
And you see there Coach Studel making the switch after Del Pesh making that defensive mistake. He gets the veteran Darius Defoe back in there, and Newcastle going pretty much with their starting 5, but with the veteran, the experience, and Josh Ward Hibbert playing in replacement of Devin Whitfield, excuse me.
Yeah, this is the 5 that really are responsible for getting the Eagles back into this game, particularly that man on your screen there, Taj Green. What a third quarter it was for him. 8 minutes to go. This could still go either way, and it's testament to both sides, really. We've played over 70 minutes of basketball, and there's almost nothing to separate them. It's been a fantastic spectacle over the 2 legs.
Absolutely. It's been everything we could have asked for. When you talk about playoff basketball, what is that? It's this, what we've seen here in the second half.
Skylar Boland gets the rebound, foul by Ward Hibbert.
And Newcastle just a little bit out of sync these last couple of possessions. And Josh Ward Hibbert potentially could have been an unsportsmanlike. You never know how that's going to be called. You never know how that's going to be called, so got to be careful there.
Question certainly asked. Ward Hibbert gets away with it this time. Here comes Evans. That's a great steal from Taj Green. And then good hustle from Churchill for Bakken to win it back. Finds Pinckney. Shot's no good. McGill on the board. Just slows things down temporarily.
And I think Pinckney would want that back there, settling for the fadeaway jumper when you got Ricky McGill on you.
Here is McGill. Trying to find himself a mismatch up against Pinckney at the moment. It's going to be back and ball. McGill claiming that there was a tip.
And I don't like that offense from Newcastle. When they were free-flowing, multiple guys was touching the ball. You saw player movement. You saw ball movement. And now all of a sudden the ball's getting sticky. And that plays into Bakken's hand because they're great. Their initial defense is solid.
Bakken having the better of the fourth quarter at the moment. Here's Boland. Finds Pinckney. Great hustle from Jordan Johnson. Read that pass brilliantly.
And that is great rotational defense there. Probably one of the best defensive sets I've seen out of Newcastle all year long. Textbook.
Johnson looking for the opportunity. Lays it off to Whitfield. First shot is blocked. Whitfield trying to win the ball back. Foul goes against him though. Bakken showing real hustle in the fourth.
And the play there, what the naked eye wouldn't see, is the lack of athleticism from Devin Whitfield. Taking those extra dribbles there allowed the defense to get back into play. You'll see it here. One dribble, whereas an athlete would just take off there, and you allow Evans to get back in there. A missed opportunity from the Eagles.
Missed opportunity for the Eagles, but good defensive work from Bakken. They seem to be locked in once more defensively after that poor third quarter from the hosts.
And we talked about it. Just holding your nerve, staying composed. And right now, Bakken are the more composed team here in these first 4 minutes in the fourth quarter. Can Newcastle turn it around?
Here's Noah Churchill. Up against Jordan Johnson, lays it into Knudsen. Knudsen no good. Green working hard on the boards. Taj Green does well there.
And that is a terrific effort by Taj Green, knocking the ball out of the cylinder, which is legal in FIBA rules, but then also getting the rebound and throwing the back-end player. He is having an all-around performance. Great effort there.
To set the screen for Jordan Johnson here, rolls off of it. Johnson, ball to Green is slightly over his head though. Away come Bakken. Here's Evans up against Defoe. Good play from Evans, lays that one in.
And right now the Newcastle Eagles offense is letting them down. Stagnant, turnovers, missed opportunities.
Tempo from the Eagles just seems to have dropped in that fourth. We said in the third when they were playing so well, the tempo was high. You know, we've talked about how much they were passing the basketball, how many people were touching the ball. That seems to have just dropped a little bit in this fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's what got them in this situation, and you won't always have an opportunity to get off in the fast break, which they did in the third quarter. But as you mentioned, in the half court, they had that set where it's a dribble weave action, 2 or 3 guys touching it as they weave across in and in a late ball screen. They probably need to get back to action similar to that.
So 6 minutes to go here in the fourth. We are tied up on the night, 69 apiece. Means Bakken still have their 5-point advantage from the first leg. It's a big 6 minutes here for the Newcastle Eagles. Coach Stutel looking to offer some more words of wisdom and encouragement in the timeout, just like he did at half-time. See some highlights of the recent plays, and Ryan Evans just suddenly seems to have taken this game from the scruff of the neck. Sometimes you need someone to stand up in this type of game, and Evans seems to be the one for Bakken.
Yeah, he's been the difference, and we talked about it at the top of the show. This is a guy that played at Wisconsin, big boy basketball, played across Europe, and also won multiple championships with Bakken, so he is really showing his experience now.
A foul called there against the youngster Knudsen. Every play now starts to become even more important. McGill with the inbound, finds Whitfield. Whitfield in the paint, but crowded out by Bakken's defense.
And that's the second mistake there by Whitfield inside the paint, which we don't normally see from him. He's more of a catch-and-shoot player, and so costly.
Here's Evans up against Defoe, 2 veterans going at it. Knudsen on the rebound for Bakken. Creating second chance points becomes so important, and that's good hustle from the Eagles to force the turnover. Here comes McGill. McGill goes coast to coast and lays in the 2.
It wasn't pretty, but we'll take it. Wow, turning defense into offense there. Great job by the Eagles.
Regular season MVP showing up for the Eagles when they need him most. Churchill runs into Green, draws the foul.
Bakken doing a great job of creating the mismatch there. You got Churchill matched up on Taj Green, which he has the foot speed advantage. And if you're a decent guard, you should win that matchup every time.
You see Juff come back into the game, so more experience on the court for Bakken. Pinkney takes a breather. And Churchill at the line.
And if that's the case, that means, yes, Newcastle Eagles with 5 fouls in the bonus, so that could be a huge turn here in the fourth quarter. Every foul, Bakken will go to the free throw line.
In the bonus with almost half of the quarter left as well. Bakken just on the 2 fouls, so the Eagles got to be careful defensively. We've praised them for their aggressiveness at times in this game defensively. They've got to be a little bit careful not to be too aggressive now. 3 ball from Evans, no good. Bakken on the second chance opportunity. Boland lays it in.
And again, Eagles getting away with the unsportsmanlike foul there. The refs allowed them to play on. And right now it's the Eagles offense, which is the issue here in the fourth quarter.
Eagles going cold at the wrong moment. Need someone just to get them going again. And the tempo's gone from their offense. Shot clock winds down. And Johnson just left, putting up a hopeful 3, and that will be an unsportsmanlike on Taj Green.
And it's much deserved. They got away with 3 previously in this game. You cannot wrap up the offensive player. You must go for the ball. And again, on the offensive side is not sustainable. The ball has gotten really stagnant, going one-on-one, and everything that the Eagles did to get them here has just totally been dismissed.
Playoff basketball, one and done. We spoke about composure so much tonight. Looks like the Eagles just seem to be losing theirs in the fourth quarter. Everything they did so well to get back into this game just seems to have disappeared. As Knudsen at the line adds the first for the unsportsmanlike. .4% free throw shooter Knudsen, but he nails both there. Free throws becoming so important now at this stage of the game, and of course, with it being an unsportsmanlike, Bakken retained possession.
Yeah, and even I understand what Taj was doing there. He was trying to slow it down, but you got to understand that they're in the bonus, so you're going to send them to the line for 2 free points, and instead it's a unsportsmanlike call.
It's going to be called against Bakken this time. The Eagles need to find something offensively to get them going.
And you can't panic here. It's 4 minutes, still plenty of clock. But you got to get something good on this end.
4 minutes, effectively an 8-point deficit for Newcastle. Ricky McGill out to Johnson. Inside to Defoe. Darius Defoe just looking a little bit frustrated there, as is Mark Stoutel.
But that's the play I was talking about, describing there, that they used often in the third quarter, was just it's just fake dribble weave action to ultimately get into the ball screen action. But that time they force-fed Defoe to get something in the paint, and that's what you need, everyone to touch the ball just to get the defense to shift a little bit.
Big few moments and few minutes here for the Newcastle Eagles. McGill on the inbound. Finds Defoe. Back to Ricky McGill. McGill with a nice crossover. Crowded out though once again. Bakken defense is just hunting in packs all of a sudden.
And you're right, and as much as I've been harping about the Eagles offense, let's not get it twisted. The Bakken defense has been phenomenal here.
And everything is going right for the hosts now as Noah Churchill adds 2. Timeout called, Mark Stoutel.
Yeah, Bakken getting whatever they want on this end, and then really walling up on the defensive end, being disciplined and forcing the Eagles into costly mistakes.
3.5 minutes to go for Newcastle. Got to try and find a way to reinvigorate themselves offensively. Taj Green, we saw him be so explosive in that third quarter, yet to add anything in the fourth to his 24 points this evening. 15 for Johnson, 14 for McGill. It needs a hero now for Newcastle. It needs somebody to stand up and say, this game is mine, and really take the game to Bakken, just as they did in the third.
Absolutely, and this game is about momentum. It's a game of runs, and when Newcastle was on that run in the third quarter, the turning point for me was when they got that steal, they threw it out to Taj Green, and he laid it up and it rimmed out. And since that moment, Bakken has been on a run.
Biggest scoring run of the night for Newcastle was 12, so they're by no means out of this, but it is going to take something quite special now for the Eagles.
You just need one more push here. Just probably the possession of the game here. You got to get a basket. You got to get a good look. Let's see what the coach is drawing up there. Only 2 points scored in this fourth quarter, 15-2.
15-2 pretty much completely reduces that 32-12 third quarter advantage that Newcastle had. Here's Defoe onto Whitfield for three. Off the backboard, no good.
Yeah, that was guarded, defended very well by Bakken. Tough shot there from Whitfield.
I know he can do it from three-point range, but hasn't been his evening so far tonight. Eagles win a turnover, though. That more like it from Newcastle. Here's McGill, though, crowded out well by Berg. Still going McGill from mid-range. Lovely shot. Two more.
Wow. Amazing shot by McGill, because I thought that was phenomenal defense, making him really dig deep into the arsenal. But can they dig up a stop here? Huge possession defensively.
Boland using his experience. Boland and Jeff out there. They've got a lot of experience on the floor. Have Bakken-Berg, nice spin, but it doesn't lay in, although there's the youngster Knudsen under the basket. Superb hustle from the young Dane. Newcastle go the other way. Here's Green. Taj Green does add two more. His first points of the fourth.
And Newcastle was in this position in game one. Let's see if they can remake of that 11-point lead that Bakken built with 3 minutes to go as Taj Green finally gets back on the board here.
Big 2 minutes here in Aarhus. Bakken's up 78-75 on the night. Eagles need to find a stop. They might get one as well, they do. Whitfield, good work on the defensive board. Here comes McGill, he's fouled.
And he's going to the line for two.
Yeah, Berg looks confused and frustrated, but the officials say that was in the act of shooting, so...
And how many times have we seen that from Ricky McGill, Jordan Johnson all season long? I talked about it earlier. They are masters at drawing fouls and understanding in the act of shooting. As soon as they hear that whistle, they shoot the ball up no matter where they are, and that time get the benefit of the doubt.
Every free throw has increased importance now. A minute and a half to go. And Ricky McGill nails that.
And don't foul. You're only down 2 possessions. Just play the possession out.
It's good ball movement, though, from Bakken. It'll be a wide open three for Jeff. Misses, though. It's a big miss from the experienced Senegalese. Three from Newcastle is no good.
A great look there by Ricky McGill. Don't foul.
Midfield has fouled. Didn't quite follow your advice. It's been a frustrating evening for Newcastle's number 9.
Yeah, 15 seconds on the shot clock. You still got 2 more possessions that you're gonna get, and so just a lack of discipline, experience kicking in for the Eagles with the unsportsmanlike earlier, just shooting themselves in the foot.
Skylar Boland scores the first. His experience, the Bakken captain. Sinks both. Those are big moments now. Another timeout called by Mark Stoutel. They're going to have to draw up something special here, the Newcastle coach, for this final. Just over a minute or so to go.
And now the clock is not your friend, and so I look for Newcastle to go quick, get something going to the basket, and then set up a trap, see if you can get a steal. But then if you don't, then I'm sending one of their poor free throw shooters to the line. But it's definitely not going to be Boland, that's for sure.
Yeah, the Eagles scoring back in 21-14 and points from turnovers. I feel that's certainly going to have to come into it if the Eagles are going to get back into this. They need probably a quick couple of points, and then, as you say, a few turnovers here. They don't really want to send back into the line. They've been pretty good from the charity stripe tonight, have the hosts, especially, as you said, the captain Boland. So we'll see what Mark Stoutel has drawn up in this timeout.
Yeah, for the Newcastle Eagles, their European season is on the line here, as you see Boland talking with his troops, just saying, let's just get one stop. And let's see what the Eagles have in the bag here.
Massive 2 minutes for both clubs here. .61 seconds to go. Here comes Jordan Johnson and the Eagles. They need quick points. Johnson stripped as he went up for the shot. Will still be Eagles ball.
It might be fortunate there. Looked like a little bit of travel from my perspective, but again, fortunate for the Newcastle Eagles, still maintain possession.
Eagles, can they dial up a quick 3 off the inbound? Comes out to Taj Green. Now Johnson. Good defense so far from Bakken. Johnson. Green was frustrated he didn't get the ball back. Really a hopeful shot there from Jordan Johnson, although they forced the turnover. Ricky McGill slams it home. That's more like it from Newcastle.
And a heads-up play there by Ricky by staying in the play, as he's the league leader in steals here in the ENBL, and do something we don't normally see him testing out the bungees. Newcastle with a chance to set their defense here.
Bit of a statement on that from McGill. And that's the kind of turnover and hustle that Newcastle need in this last minute. This one is going right down to the wire. 80 minutes of basketball and not a lot to separate these two teams. They've been matched up really well over the 2 legs. Fans are on their feet at Aarhus, showing their appreciation, trying to get their home side over the line, and I'm sure the Eagles fans will be doing the same. Can the Eagles force another turnover?
Just a nice trap here.
It's a nice trap. Boland does
right
well.
there.
There it is. And it's McGill again with another steal. And McGill looking for the and one. Can't quite get the layup to go, but he will go to the line.
Wow, and that's executed perfectly there. Get the ball out of Boland's hands. And Ricky McGill just there hiding in the weeds, able to anticipate that mistake, and draws a foul, and Newcastle still have hope.
Big couple of free throws here for Ricky McGill. If he makes both, the deficit will be down to 4 with just over 30 seconds to go.
And again, now you got to play the free throw game. Again, understanding the poor free throw shooters for the home side. I'm looking at Berg. I'm looking at the big fella. But all of that is irrelevant if Ricky McGill doesn't step up here and knock down these two.
Big pressure here on the ENBL regular season MVP. Nails the first, no trouble.
And Coach Stewart goes to his bench, gets his more dynamic lineup out there as Josh Ward-Hibbert subs in for Darius Defoe.
Makes the second as well. So Newcastle lead on the night. Won't be enough as it stands though. We'll have another timeout called here with 30 seconds to go. Another chance for both sets of coaches to talk things over.
Yeah, and the big question here, Alex, is do you advance the ball? With 32 seconds left, if you decide to advance it because you're concerned about the trap, that means you only have 14 seconds on the clock. Whereas if you take out the ball 94 feet, you got all 24 seconds of the clock. And so a huge decision here by the offensive team.
Yeah, if you're Anders Sommer here, what do? You know, your team have fallen for that trap the last two possessions, two back-to-back steals for the Eagles. So do you advance the ball? But then all of a sudden the clock is less of a factor.
Yeah, I trust my ball handlers. I'm taking the ball out under the basket, using all that clock, and just telling everyone to stay composed. And you have more space, right? So if you extend the ball, you only get half the court. You cut the court in half. And so if I'm backing, I'm taking the ball out underneath the basket.
We'll find out shortly what the Bakken Bears have decided to do. There's Juff, and they've got plenty of experience on the court now. Looks like they might have chosen to advance it. They have.
Wow. Let's see what the coach is drawing up here. Doesn't trust his pressing offense.
Interesting call from Bakken, and that's going to be, well, Newcastle want a review. They feel that came off of a Bakken player last, and I would be very surprised if the referees don't take a look at this. This is a big moment.
Wow, and this is the issue with advancing the ball. You run out of court there, and so, wow. Something we've been asking for in the British Basketball League is an opportunity to go to the monitor, because in a game with this much stakes, you want to make sure they get it right. And
that's to me is Newcastle ball. Comes off Berg last. Wow. This is going to be a big moment. I must say, I think the European officials have done really well with the video reviews this year. I think they've used them really effectively in all the games that I've been at and covered. And I think this is going to be another example, as this should definitely be turned and overturned, and Eagles ball clearly comes off of Berg's right hand.
Yep, Ricky McGill never touches the basketball. And it's Eagles ball. Wow.
Yeah, applause from the Eagles bench. Well done to the officials. Good use of the video review. Top work from the local production team as well.
And you don't need a three here. All you need is a basket. Extend the game. Send the team to the free throw line.
So, long pass on the inbound. Here goes McGill. Lays up an easy two. Big basket.
Foul.
Eagles choosing not to foul, looking to try and cause a turnover on. They very nearly did, and then the foul comes.
No, wow.
Worst possible moment for the Eagles, either foul early or force the turnover. And as the turnover was being forced, Ricky McGill cannot believe it.
Wow, I would be, and I'm right with them. I'm in disbelief, but I think I would have fouled the big fella Joff there and took my chances, but still an opportunity to make a play on the ball, and now we get to test the nerve. All we need them to do is miss one if you're the Newcastle Eagles.
Skylar Boland at the line. Hasn't missed yet tonight, but he does miss his first.
And all free throws aren't equal, Alex. I've been in this position before. The palms are sweaty. The basketball feels like a bowling ball. You see him shaking his hands and shoulders, telling himself to relax. Let's see if he does.
Eagles fans trying to put him under as much pressure as possible, but he does make the second. Eagles need to get up court quickly. It's a quick three that they're going to take off the backboard and out. And that's going to be Bakken possession.
You didn't need that if you're the Newcastle Eagles. I would have extended the game and put pressure on the basket.
And is that just the composure that we've spoken about so many times? Just a little bit of a rush of blood to the head, just trying to take a quick three when maybe there's a better option on.
Yeah, absolutely. During this time, that's why they say pressure bust pipes.
Oh, there's
the
a road
gets
pass,
rushed.
though. Eagles need points here quickly. They're looking for a 4-point play.
And they called it.
They're going to get 3 as Johnson gets fouled. That's huge.
Wow. And I'm not sure if I agree with that. That's questionable. Jordan Johnson threw his body into the defender, but as a Newcastle Eagles fan, I'm sure they're not complaining. Right here, maybe it's the right hand.
The right hand possibly of Skylar Bolin. Head goes in his hands. He couldn't believe it. And with 3 seconds on the clock, some huge free throws for Jordan Johnson as he makes the first.
And we talking about a guy that's been to the free throw line over 150 times this season in the British Basketball League. So this is a position he's been in before.
Johnson makes the second.
Big shot.
If he makes
Here
this,
it is, ladies and gentlemen.
we will be all tied up with 3 seconds to go. Jordan Johnson makes the biggest free throw of the season. 3 seconds to go for Bakken. Bolin, he's gone out of bounds. Newcastle will get half a second.
Another mistake by the home team. You talked about it, Alex. We talked about it. Composure. Both teams losing their composure multiple times throughout the game. And now Newcastle Eagles crawled themselves from the dead with an opportunity here.
We're going to get a video review here. I'm pretty sure this is that they're just going to check how much time is left on the clock when he went out of bounds. Newcastle will want as much of it as possible.
Let's see if we can see the clock here.
Might be that right foot there, which is just obscured by the fan in the front row. And unfortunately, there's no shot of a clock there, so...
I mean, if you're Newcastle Eagles, all you're looking for is 0.8. 0.8 allows you enough time to kind of wind up a shot. But this is what you work on all year long. Towards the end of practices, you work on these type of plays, these type of situations. And so we get an opportunity to see what the Newcastle Eagles have in the bag here for late clock situations. It may be right there.
Looks like they're going to be about 1.6 maybe. So over a second perhaps for the Eagles. Certainly enough time to get a shot away. Who's your man, Drew? Who are you picking to take this?
Well, this changes everything now. Now you got an opportunity to put the ball on the floor. And if I'm Eagles, I'm putting the ball in Jordan Johnson's hands. We talked about his speed, elusiveness, but ability to draw fouls. And so if he catches the ball, you got to expect that the defense is going to be taking a step back. And so I think he'll be in the best position to generate the cleanest look for the Newcastle Eagles.
I think it's about 1.8 on the split screen when he first went out of bounds. Be interested to see what the referees confirm, but certainly over a second for Newcastle here, I would imagine. They're just checking with the scorers now and resetting the game clock.
That's a great job by the production team there. Getting that split screen, allowing us to see both. And
So just waiting for the score strap to reappear. 1.6 it is for Newcastle, so over a second and a half. We are level on aggregate. Any score wins it for the Eagles. It's going to be a half-court shot.
Here we go.
And it's just wide by Ricky McGill. And we are going to overtime. We're going to take a very short break and then we'll be back.
Serios Group Newcastle Eagles live in the ENBL.
Brought to you by
Serios Group,
Simpson Group, and Matchday Media.
So 80 minutes of basketball later and still nothing to separate these two sides. Bakken took the first leg 92-87. Newcastle have taken the second 86-81, and we head to overtime. Drew, this has been a fantastic performance from the Eagles on the road.
Wow, we couldn't ask for anything better. This is playoff basketball. Both teams, we're seeing the highs, we're seeing the lows, we're seeing mistakes down the stretch from both teams, we're seeing missed free throws, and again, who's going to have the ability to hold their nerve for these last 5 minutes?
Superb from the Eagles this evening, especially in that third period. Outscored Bakken 32-12. Look through some of the numbers for the Eagles tonight. Ricky McGill, 24 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, but 7 steals. Ricky McGill, I mean, he's been everywhere as the ENBL MVP.
And he stepped up just what an MVP does, the best player of the entire competition, and he showed everything: defense, getting out in the passing lanes, offense, and playmaking ability as well. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, everyone in Newcastle, get you a cup of tea, a drink of water, whatever you need, because this is the biggest 5 minutes in Newcastle Eagles European history.
A huge 5 minutes coming up for the Eagles after 60 minutes to 40 minutes, I should say, of some of the best basketball they've played this season. As you see some of the highlights from today, Taj Green really lit it up in the third quarter.
And here's the big question, Alex, is what lineup does the Eagles trot out there for these final 5 minutes? I talked about it earlier. You have to figure out your lineup early. And they're going with Josh Ward-Hibbert.
And Ward-Hibbert with a steal. Ward-Hibbert into Green. Now McGill. And McGill scores the first points of overtime. Eagles immediately scoring another turnover.
And a dream start from the Eagles, getting it done defensively.
Now here's Pinckney. It's a great steal from who else but Ricky McGill, his 8th of the evening. And he's off to the races, and he's going to be called for a foul beforehand. But Ricky McGill is absolutely everywhere.
Wow, and I think that was an intentional foul again as he grabbed Ricky McGill by the waist. Let's see it here. Great defense here. Goes straight for the ball. All ball, get off to the races. We just missed it there, but I believe that they grabbed the waist of McGill.
Great start to overtime for the Newcastle Eagles. Saw how quickly they came out the blocks in the third, and appears to be similar, although McGill misses the first free throw.
And 7 steals tonight. I believe he had 7 steals early in the year, which I believe tied the record, if I'm not mistaken. But 7 steals is incredible.
Yeah, that last one, as I look at the live stats, that last one was his 8th, according to the live stats. So a truly brilliant evening for Ricky McGill in the passing lanes.
Wow, even the live stats can't keep up with Ricky McGill here tonight. Delayed on my end, but a huge defensive possession here.
Taj Green looking to get his hand in there and disrupt it. Churchill it was. He was trying to strip the ball from. Still back and ball. The Bears just look.
And only 5 seconds.
Bears ball, 5 seconds on the shot clock.
Nothing silly here.
Going to put up a 3, which is an absolute air ball from Malik Parsons. He tried to draw the foul as well.
Fantastic defense there.
Jordan Johnson it was who was wise to it. Here come the Eagles and Ricky McGill. McGill looking for more points, is blocked this time from Sylvester Berg.
And Berg, how many times have we seen that here tonight from him?
A foul called on Ward Hibbert, so Bakken go to the line.
It's a great pass there by Parsons as he sees Churchill there on the cut. Newcastle unable to locate their man there in transition.
6 blocks this evening for Sylvester Berg. That is truly quite something, up there with Ricky McGill's 8 steals.
Absolutely. He's been all over. He's been in the right place at the right time and defending and blocking without foul and showing his true worth here tonight.
Churchill makes them both. Eagles in front by 1 on aggregate.
And it looked like it's going to be a steady dive with the ball in Ricky McGill's hands as they go down to the veteran.
Darius Defoe working his way to the basket and laying it in.
And what a great option to have with Darius Defoe, showing his nerve.
And another steal for the Eagles, and then a late foul is called. I think that might be an unsportsmanlike against Bakken.
If so, that could be huge.
Eagles were certainly asking for it. I didn't quite see what the call was.
But how many times have we seen the defender grab the waist on both sides and been able to get away with it? And so if you're an Eagle, you can't complain because it's been the same thing on the other side.
They have been consistent tonight, the referees, on calling the unsportsmanlike. So Taj Green at the line, misses the first.
And I talked about it early, 91 points. Usually when Newcastle score in the 90s, they win. When they score in the 80s, they lose. Although this is aggregate, they're up.
Green makes his second. Here comes Skylar Boland for Bakken. Bakken just looked a little bit shell-shocked at the end of that 4th quarter. Couldn't quite believe that they'd given up a lead. Good defense from Jordan Johnson, and then a late foul called against him against Parsons.
Yeah, he didn't need the reach. He did everything perfectly there, withstanding the bump and then just at the last moment reaching around. And the refs get him there. Right there, that's great defense. You see he's playing with the stance, wide stance, where he has leverage again. And right here where you see it, right there.
Just the right hand a little bit over-eager, reaching round. Parsons there trying to get a steal. Sends Malik Parsons to the line, 3 of 4 tonight for him.
And he's grabbing that right hand, and hopefully, if Newcastle Eagles fan, they're hoping that it's the right index finger.
Whatever it is, it's not enough to put him off on that occasion.
And for me, these last 3 minutes is going to come down to the Newcastle Eagles offense. Can they execute? Can they do what got them here?
So Parsons makes both. And here comes the Eagles offense, and the ball goes straight to the playmaker, Ricky McGill. McGill swings it out to the corner. Gets it back off Johnson. Looking for an option. Shot clock winds down. Going to have to be a 3 from range, which is no good. Eagles just ran out of options at the end there.
And I think that's the most passive possession we've seen all night from the Eagles. Plenty of opportunities to take the shot and no one wanting to take it.
Pinball underneath the basket, and Knudsen comes up with it, lays in the 2.
And we're tied again.
2 minutes to go. All tied up on aggregate once more. Foul called against Skylar Boland.
Oh, wow, they called the charge?
Yeah, they've called the charge on Jordan Johnson. Didn't quite see it on first viewing. I was too busy tracking the ball out to the corner, but they've definitely called the charge on Jordan Johnson.
And again, we talked about it. The Eagles offense, turnover here, the possession before, heave at the shot clock. Gotta get good looks.
There's a little fadeaway, no good for Bakken. They will get possession back, though, will the hosts. Malik Parsons
scouting report right here,
slowing things right down. 4 seconds on the shot clock. Draws a foul from Darius Defoe and one.
And exactly what I talked about, when you got a player in the middle third of the floor, right here at the top of the key, it's all about scouting report. Darius, he overextends. You got to stay on Parsons' right hand, send him back over to Ricky McGill as he slams the board there. He knows he made a costly mistake there defensively.
Frustration for the Eagles veteran. This would put Parsons at 20 for the evening. So Bakken lead by 3 on aggregate.
Parsons really stepping up. Excuse me, just saying he scored the last 5 points.
Bakken seem to have found their man. Can Ricky McGill be the Eagles' man? Step back 3, no good. Eagles win the offensive board. Good work from Ward Hibbert. And then a wayward pass from Ward Hibbert, and a foul called against Devin Whitfield.
What a turn of events here with the Newcastle Eagles offense. 3 questionable possessions there. Not really able to get a good look. And Bakken living at the free throw line.
Eagles just struggling offensively. In overtime, all of a sudden, that composure that they had seems to have gone from the game once more. Looking to try and create a turnover here. Final 60 seconds of overtime. Skylar Boland puts it up and puts it in. The veteran captain showing all his class. And now the Newcastle Eagles need another late comeback.
Wow, what a play there by Boland. Get into his spot, taking advantage of the Whitfield. Got him on skates there, stops on a dime. Tough bucket.
It's a big-time play from Boland. You can see the emotion, you can see what it means to him. Don't forget, we mentioned how much of a big game this is for Newcastle. It's just as big a game for Bakken. They've obviously got some European heritage in the Europe Cup and more recently in the Champions League, but never won a European competition, so they will think that this year in the ENBL it could well be their year, as Mark Stutzel has called a timeout.
Yeah, the Eagles have been in this situation before. Here we are again. It's been a seesaw, a game of runs. Newcastle Eagles come out the gates in overtime, but then offensively get a little bit stagnant, passive, and the home team got a little bit more aggressive. And here we are.
Another chance for the Eagles to try and save themselves. Being outscored in overtime, 11-6 so far by Bakken. Lead has changed hands in this tie so many times. The Eagles just need one more change in these final 45 seconds. Here's McGill, out to Taj Green. See one more highlight play from him. Green's layup no good though. Back and have the ball. Clock not the Eagles' friend once more.
Newcastle Eagles, nummer 55, Taj Green, nummer 54.
Terrific defensive stance there, forcing Taj Green, taking away his strong right hand, forcing him into a tough shot. And again, Bakken heads back to the free throw line where they've lived and made a living here in overtime.
Ryan Evans at the line this time, 1 for 2 so far this evening. A chance to make it a 7-point Bakken lead on aggregate with 30 seconds to go. That really would require something from the Newcastle Eagles, but they've already pulled it off once tonight.
Let's see if they can be 2-time lucky, 3-time lucky if you include the first leg.
Eagles need quick points now, and they're not going to get it. It's another brilliant defensive stand from Bakken, and the wide open slam for Knudsen may well be the nail in the Eagles' coffin. Another missed shot from Ward Hibbert. Bakken may well just see the timeout here. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bakken Bears are headed to the European North Basketball League Final Four. For the Newcastle Eagles, it is the end of the road, the end of the journey. But what an incredible journey it has been. They gave it their absolute all tonight, Drew, and they've come up just short.
Wow. What a game for a basketball fan. Both teams, we talked about it, seesaw effort, back and forth. And for the Newcastle Eagles, you just have to stand and applaud. They gave absolutely everything, left it all out there, and they'll be getting back on a plane tomorrow, back to Great Britain thinking, what if?
85 minutes of basketball it took. You can see the emotion on the faces of some of the Newcastle Eagles players. This will have meant a heck of a lot to them. They will be absolutely gutted, but they can take a hell of a lot of pride with that performance. Bakken Bears with their heritage and their talent, and the Eagles have pushed them all the way this evening. They were so close, Drew.
Yeah, they were, and you know, when we look at it, again, we talked about it. It's just when they went stagnant offensively, it was the offense that was the issue. You know, they had them on the ropes there with 3 minutes to go in overtime, and you know, we call it playing not to lose, and you got to continue to stay aggressive. But despite that, as a Newcastle Eagles fan, supporter, I know everyone is proud, and hopefully for the organization, they put British basketball on the map to prove that we can play with the best of the best, and hopefully this is only the beginning for that organization.
Yeah, and on that, Drew, a final point from you. For the Eagles and their future, this European campaign has been such a success. Yes, right now they will be disappointed and they will view this as a failure, but they've got to the quarterfinals and very nearly the semi-finals in their first ever European journey, and I'm sure that this is something we'll see more from them in the future.
Yeah, absolutely, and I don't even think they view it as a failure. You know, there was opportunity there, but you know, you were able to get an MVP out of this league, as we see Ricky McGill there. You were able to go toe-to-toe with Bakken, who's played high-level basketball throughout their history, and just came up short. And I just think this is only the beginning. The organization is going to regroup. Mark Studel's going to learn from this. Paul Blake is going to learn from this, what's required during this European adventure, and buckle up, because this is only the beginning.
Yeah, see the post-game highlights now. It really was both teams just going blow for blow the entire way. Bakken took the first half, really, but then the Eagles hit back superbly in that third quarter. And then the fourth quarter was a real interesting one because Bakken seemed to have the better of it for those first 5-6 minutes, and then a really Herculean effort from the Newcastle Eagles in those final 2-3 minutes to force overtime.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both teams making crucial mistakes at crucial moments, Bakken with a chance to wrap it up there in the fourth. And the Eagles showing no fight, and that's something that we've talked about is the Eagles of old. You know, what we've grown to love is that never die attitude, and we've seen that out of this team this year on multiple occasions and in here, and start that fourth quarter with a defensive stop and go up on aggregate by 5 points. But you know, I think the turning point there was that possession where the ball touched Jordan Johnson's hand in the corner, an opportunity to shoot, no one shot, and Josh Ward-Hibbert heaves it, and from there we got really passive, and that was the difference for me.
Just in the final stretch, the Eagles just lost their clinical touch, and when it came down to it, Bakken probably the slightly more composed of the two. Do you think that comes down just to being experienced in these situations? You know, we've spoken about this is the Eagles' first European journey. Bakken have been here so many times.
Yeah, that plays a role. This organization has been there and done that, and they have a great mixture of youth and veterans who's played throughout Europe, and also being at home in that second leg, because teams at home win games like this. And I think in the future, you know, that regular season is important. If you think about the very first game of the European campaign when the Eagles are up 18 and they blow that lead, and just by getting that win, that changes everything. You know, that second leg and this quarterfinal is played at home. And so, you know, like I said, it's a lot of positives to take, but there was an opportunity to be taken advantage of here in this competition.
And we saw and heard what just a few dozen Eagles travelling fans and the noise they made this evening. Imagine how many we would have had at the Virtue Motors Arena had this gone to overtime there. So that was really the play of the game, wasn't it, from Taj Green? Absolute showreel from him.
Absolutely. He was fantastic. I think he just ran out of gas there late. He left it all out there on the floor in the third quarter and kind of ran out of steam. And so this is what it's about. This is a preview of what we're going to be seeing in the British Basketball League as we transition to a 3-game series. It becomes about not only the physical ability, but it becomes about the smarts as well. Because, you know, when you see a team 3 times, just like we have in this aggregate situation, it's about adjustments. It's understanding scouting report. It's the small little details. That's the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah, it was, and as you see, there's the statement finale, really, from Knudsen, the assist from Bolin. He played his heart out for his team, and as Bakken embrace, they will be headed on to the Final Four of the European North Basketball League. For the Newcastle Eagles, it is the end of the road, but it's been a brilliant road. Final score here in Aarhus, it's Bakken 96, Newcastle 92. Bakken advance, Newcastle are out. That is the end of their European journey. Drew, thank you so much for being with us. Until next time.
Is watching basketball at 3 in the morning enough? No, of course not. So you always wanted to be part of the team. Your own basketball club, in your own backyard. What if I said you could? ENBL. 9 European countries, 15 pro teams, 60 games a season. The fastest growing basketball league in Europe. In the arena, on TV, or streaming live on your phone. Reach out to us and join the ENBL family. ENBL, right here in your backyard.
Serios Group Newcastle Eagles live in the ENBL.
Brought to you by
Serios Group.
Simpson Group.
and Matchday Media.